Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to tell you three stories from the life of Steve Jobs. Stories of fate, struggle, and triumph that have inspired millions. As you listen, imagine yourself in his shoes, facing unexpected challenges and taking bold risks. Let's dive into his incredible legacy. Today, I want to tell you three stories from the life of Steve Jobs. That's it, no big deal. Just three stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. He dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before he really quit. So why'd he drop out? It started before he was born. His biological mother was a young unwed graduate student, and she decided to put him up for adoption. She felt very strongly that he should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for him to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except that when he popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So his parents, who were on a waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We've got an unexpected baby boy, do you want him?" They said. Of course, his biological mother found out later that his mother had never graduated from college and that his father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers that a few months later, when his parents promised that he would go to college, this was the start in his life. And 17 years later, he did go to college, but he naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford, and all of his working-class parents' savings were being spent on his tuition. After 6 months, he couldn't see the value in it. He had no idea what he wanted to do with his life, and no idea how college was going to help him figure it out. And here he was spending all the money his parents had saved their entire life. So he decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out. Okay, it was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions he ever made. The minute he dropped out, he could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest him and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. He didn't have a dorm room. So he slept on the floor in friends' rooms. He returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with, and he would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week. At the Hare Krishna temple, he loved it, and much of what he stumbled into by following his curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless. Later on, let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country throughout the campus. Every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed because he had dropped out and didn't have to take the normal classes. He decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. He learned about serif and sans. Serif typefaces about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture. And he found it fascinating none of this had even a hope of any practical application in his life. 10 years later, when they were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to him, and they designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If he had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them if he had never dropped out. He would have never dropped in on that calligraphy class. And personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it was impossible to connect the dots looking forward when he was in college, but it was very, very clear. Looking backwards, 10 years later. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards, so you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path, and that will make all the difference. Imagine yourself in that situation, facing uncertainty, yet taking a leap of faith. This part builds suspense and curiosity, while the personal struggle and unexpected opportunities create a deep connection. From this story, we learn that every experience, whether it's a difficult choice or an unexpected twist, adds up to something meaningful. Even if you feel lost now, trust that every step will eventually lead you to where you need to be. The second story, love and loss. Steve Jobs states that he was lucky. He found what he loved to do early in life, and he started Apple in his parents' garage when he was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and he just turned 30 and then he got fired. How can you get fired from a company? You started well as Apple grew. They hired someone who he thought was very talented to run the company with him. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then their visions of the future began to diverge. And eventually they had a falling out when their board of directors sided with him. And so at 30, he was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of his entire adult life was gone. And it was devastating. He really didn't know what to do. For a few months, he felt that he had let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down, that he had dropped the baton. As it was being passed to him, he met with David Packard and Bob Noyce and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly he was a very public failure, and he even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on him. He still loved what he did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. He had been rejected, but he was still in love. And so he decided to start over. He didn't see it. Then it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to him. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner. Again, less sure about everything, freedom to enter one of the most creative periods of his life. During the next 5 years, he started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become his wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and he returned to Apple, and the technology they developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lorraine, and he has a wonderful family together. He's pretty sure none of this would have happened if he hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but he guessed the patient needed it sometime. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. He's convinced that the only thing that kept him going was that he loved what he did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work, and the only way to do great work is to love what you do if you haven't found it. Yet keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle. Imagine how it feels to lose something you've built with all your heart. Feel that pain, then sense the hope of a new beginning. This section invites you to feel deep empathy and even a bit of light humor in the small, relatable moments. This story teaches us that even when you lose something important, it can be the start of something even better. Life may knock you down, but your passion and determination can help you rebuild and grow stronger. The third story, death. When he was 17, he read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last someday, you'll most certainly be." Right? It made an impression on him. And since then, for the past 33 years, he's looked in the mirror every morning and asked himself if today were the last day of his life, what he wanted to do, what he was about to do today, and whenever the answer had been no. For too many days in a row, he knew he needed to change something. Remembering that he'll be dead soon is the most important tool he's ever encountered to help him make the big choices in life, because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way he knows to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is him. But someday, not too long from now, he will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. His time is limited. So don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Imagine if you faced your own mortality every day. What choices would you change? This reflective part makes you think deeply about what matters most. This final story shows us that knowing our time is limited can inspire us to live more honestly and boldly. When we strip away the unnecessary, we see that following our heart is what truly makes life worth living. That is the remarkable life story of Steve Jobs, a journey of bold decisions, painful setbacks, and profound wisdom. As you reflect on these stories, imagine if his struggles and triumphs could guide you in your own life. Embrace your journey, trust your instincts, and always pursue what you love. If this video moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay hungry, stay foolish.